Good morning. I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Monroe County Board of Commissioners. It is Wednesday, May 25th, and we will begin with our public statement read by Commissioner Githens.
We, the Monroe County Board of Commissioners, renew our commitment to welcome and protect the rights of all people, regardless of age, race, color, creed, disability, sexual orientation, gender, gender identity, marital status, economic status, and national origin. And we affirm the right of every person to live peacefully and without fear. And we will fight and resist at every step discrimination and harmful policies, whatever their source. We also stand in support of our county public school systems, both RBB and MCCSC.
Thank you so much. I will note for the record that all three commissioners are present today. And our next item is our department update item. And we have Ms. Cottle here to start us off. Good morning.
Good morning. COVID-19 cases are appearing to be stable at the moment. We're not seeing a big change in either direction. So not drastically going up at the moment, not drastically coming down either. So transmission does remain at a high level. So please assess your risk, your situation, your need for masks or other precautions, and act accordingly. Hospital numbers do remain stable and on the low side, and that has kept our CDC level at low. So we are currently at a community level of low. Low and medium, as I've talked about before, don't have a lot of differences in terms of our steps and the precautions to take. Vaccinations are still extremely important, and that we want everybody to consider being vaccinated, make sure they're up to date on their vaccines, test as you need to. If you're exposed, test after 5 days, certainly if you have any symptoms, and then talk to your provider, especially if you have underlying health conditions. Talk to your provider about the need for you to wear a mask in indoor public spaces. Again, the biggest driver right now for these community levels is the hospitalizations. And so as long as those stay on that lower end, we will only be in a low or a medium community level. We have also, there's a little bit of good news. We've seen a little bit of an increase in vaccinations, and so we're pleased about that. Some of that is those 5 to 11-year-olds getting boosters, but we're seeing other individuals come in to get their first dose or booster dose. So we are seeing some increase there, and we're very pleased about that. We will see what recommendations and approvals come in June with the CDC's VRBPAC committee meeting. There are lots of things on their agenda in June, from fall, next generation kind of boosters to new people being eligible for vaccine. So we are anxiously awaiting those meetings and the outcomes of those in June. It will be a very busy month. Testing, if you haven't ordered extra tests, please do that. You can order those through the FDA's site, and they also have a COVID page site that I mentioned earlier that has information about shelf life and how to spot a fake or a counterfeit test, those kinds of things. Lots of good information. And other than that, monkeypox is, I think people are hearing about that. That is not something new, but there are investigations ongoing into the current cases that have been identified. So you can stay tuned for more information on that. And then the last thing that I would say, and maybe this should have been the first thing, but gun violence and trauma has to remain on our list of challenges to address, not just from a public health issue, but all the way around. I am very, very sad for the families and the communities that are, again, dealing with this issue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Cottle. Comments, questions, Commissioner Githens?
I was going to ask Ms. Cottle to address one thing. There are people that have had COVID that have not gotten vaccinated, and they believe that they have sufficient immunity not to get reinfected. Could you clarify that?
Absolutely. So even with, there may be some short-term immunity, but we are seeing reinfections among people who have had COVID in the past, especially if they had COVID with one of the earlier strains. But we also know that the vaccination gives better coverage. And I know this may be hard to believe for some, but gives better protection than being infected. And remember, you may have been ill, but your immune response may have been low because your infection was low. You didn't get a severe case, or your body's response was short term. And all immunity may wane over time. So once you have recovered from COVID-19, you can go and get that vaccination. You don't have to wait 6 weeks or 3 months. As soon as you have recovered, you are eligible to get that vaccine or your booster dose or whatever you might be in line to get.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Jones.
Well, it is good to hear that the COVID situation is stable, and the current news is just horrifying. I cannot imagine what it would be like to be a parent having to send children to school nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely true.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
do
one of the
hope-
things that I saw last week through NPR was a study that was done on how many lives could have been saved. We've passed the 1 million mark in the United States of how many lives could have been saved if everyone had been vaccinated. And in Indiana, we would have saved 7,467 lives, which is a really startling number, and really adds a level of gravity to the whole scenario.
Yeah, we only hope that, when I say they're stable at the moment, it is at the moment. So we only hope that that rings true and that people will continue to be vaccinated.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you so much, Ms. Cottle. We will talk to you in a few minutes again. We also have a department update from Eric Evans, Director of Technical Services.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me okay?
We sure can.
All right.
Good
I'm gonna
morning.
Go ahead and share my screen.
Yeah.
I am broadcasting from the production booth up in the Nat Hill room. So forgive my kind of pieced together camera. I'm coming here today to talk about 4 of my staff and the training that they just completed. Looking at the picture here, you've got, going from left to right, you got Wendy Wilson, who is our web developer. You've got Mark Hazelbaker, who is the main person who answers the phones. You got Ben Tokarski. We've talked about him previously as being a hero of tomorrow. He's one of our network guys. And then finally, you've got Andrew Engel, who is one of our full-time techs. Now, what they have done here is over the course of almost 3 months, they have completed a course of study and earned their CompTIA Security Plus certification. That's a really big deal. The Security Plus certification covers all sorts of threats, IT-based threats, from malware to virus and things of that nature. So at this point, with the 4 of them, almost half of my staff now have this very important certification. Now, this is a training program that was sponsored by the Mill, or Dimension Mill. And I want to talk a little bit about them because this program was completely free. We didn't pay anything for that. So these 4 guys got their certification. We didn't have to pay anything for that. And that's something that they will carry with them for the rest of their career. So the Mill is a place here in town. It is called a co-work facility. Essentially, it's kind of, let's see if I can get to the next slide. Okay, so here is a couple pictures of what it looks like inside the Mill. A co-work facility is basically just a really nice, comfortable, warm office that you can hang out and do some work as needed. They also have a podcasting studio and a variety of facilities there. Want to give a quick shout out to the next training that they have coming up at the mill. Again, it's my understanding that this is completely free. They call it the Code IT Academy, and it teaches people essential HTML and web platform coding skills. That's completely free and I believe starts in June. So if you go to dimensionmill.org /Code IT Academy, that's where you could sign up for something like that. So once again, congratulations to Wendy Wilson, Mark Hazelbaker, Ben Tokarski, and Andrew Engel. Of course, I'm very proud of them for doing that. Any questions?
Comments or questions? Commissioner Githens?
Well, we're lucky to live in a place that values things like this and that would do this for our community. I appreciate that.
Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, I'd like to extend congratulations also. This is a great accomplishment, and it's very nice to know that half of the department has received this certification.
Yeah, and yep, I will add my congratulations and thank you for encouraging the additional training of our staff. It's a great thing. So thank you for that. Okay, next we have Ms. Ridge from the Highway Department to talk about tonight's meeting.
Good morning. I just wanted to put a reminder out there to the public that this evening at 5:30 here in the Nat U Hill Room, we will be presenting a proposed Roger Street Sidewalk feasibility study. So we'll have some maps, a small presentation, a moment for comments and such. So we think it'll last from about 5:30 to 7. We have requested for it to be recorded. So if you're unable to attend, it can be watched at a later date. And then also you can, the link for the Zoom meeting is also on our county webpage at www.co.monroe.in.us. And if you click on the calendar for this evening, then you'll have that Zoom link.
Right. Thank you so much. And thank you for arranging that for us. Okay, let's see if there's any other departments that have an update to offer. I do not see any, so we'll move on to the next item on our agenda, which is public comment. This agenda item is for people who have a comment to make that is on an item not on our agenda. Each speaker is limited to a total of 3 minutes. At 2 minutes and 30 seconds, you will hear a tone. And when you hear that tone, that means you have 30 seconds to wrap up your comment. And the same holds true for comments on our regular agenda items. We do have someone here in the Nat U Hill Room. We'll start there. But you can also, if you're visiting via Zoom, you can raise your hand on the Zoom screen and we will put you in the queue. Please give us your name. Good morning. Sir, I'm sorry. Can I interrupt you? Could you make sure your microphone's on? The green, there you go. Thank you. Please continue.
Yes, sorry about that. The Lake Monroe watershed consists of 440 square miles of land in Monroe, Brown, Lawrence, and Jackson counties. We will have a short presentation by Maggie Sullivan, the watershed coordinator, followed by a panel of perspectives about the importance that the lake holds for the community by environmental advocates, scientists, and they will discuss the challenges that impact business, tourism, sustainability. You will come away with a new perspective on the lake's importance and how you can improve its sustainability. The proceedings will be moderated by one of your colleagues on the County Council, Cheryl Munson. The doors open 11:15. For more information, chamberbloomington.net, and that's a week from Friday at lunch. Thank you very much for your time today.
All right. Thank you for bringing that to us. Appreciate it. Sounds like a great program. anyone else have comments to make for items not on the agenda? All right, seeing none, we will come back for our next item, which is item 5, please.
Move approval of the minutes from May 18th, 2022.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments, additions, corrections? Okay, seeing none, we'll come back for a vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes for May 18th, 2022 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Move approval of claims docket accounts payable May 25th, 2022.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second, and we have Mr. Miller joining us. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. The total for claims was $1,207,390.12. Of the 31 pages that the claim docket consisted of, it ranged from as little as $2.99 for topsoil from Menards to over $400,000. I'll focus on the 3 items that were greater than $100,000, starting with $401,942 for Centerstone of Indiana, Inc. That was for mental health services for the first half of 2022. $203,373.82 was for Anthem, Inc., primarily for May claims and fees. And finally, $121,284.40 was for Play Pros, which was for Karst Farm Park Shelter Project 1, the playground equipment installation.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Comments, questions? Commissioner Githens?
Well, we all get to approve these things at times, so it was really nice for me to see the ADA compliant playground equipment go in it, that we're actually paying for that. That means it's been taken care of. So I hope people can get out and enjoy that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Jones?
I agree with Commissioner Githens. This is a great thing.
And let's see if there's any public comment on this item. You can raise your hand on the Zoom screen or come to the podium in the Nat U Hill room. Seeing none, we'll come back for a vote. All those in favor of approving the claims docket accounts payable May 25th, 2022 signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
3-0. Thank you. I will note for the record that we have received a report from the treasurer. It is the report from April 2022. And with that, we will move on to new business. Item A, please.
Move approval of Indiana Department of Health grant agreement for Lost to Care program, fund name, Lost to Care, fund number 8163, in an amount of $17,925.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second, and we have Ms. Caudle here to tell us all about it. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for hearing this today. This is really a renewal. We received this funding last year as well, and it is really to help people who perhaps have HIV or AIDS, have gotten out of care. They're not getting ongoing routine medical care, and maybe at risk for an STD. So maybe they've been named as contact. So our DIS are trying to follow up with them. We find that they're not getting care for another infection. And because this is very closely tied with case management with Positive Link, we do this in partnership with them. So this just funds the hours for Positive Link, for one of their case managers to work with our DIS to kind of ensure that all needs are being met, but we're also not duplicating services. We don't have multiple people going out trying to contact somebody as well. And it ensures that people that have fallen out of care can get reacclimated to the health care that they need.
Excellent. Comments, questions, Commissioner Githens?
No, I felt like the explanation that was in our packet was very thorough.
Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, I'm just relieved that we'll be able to keep this going. It certainly seems to be very worthwhile.
It's a great program. Awesome work. Let's see if there's any public comment on this item. You can come to the podium in the Nat U Hill room or raise your hand on the Zoom screen. Seeing none, we'll come back for a vote. All those in favor of approving the Indiana Department of Health grant agreement for Lost to Care program signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Move approval of Indiana Family Health Council grant agreement for TANF, fund name TANF, fund number 8150, in the amount of $82,077.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please tell us all about this one.
Again, this is a renewal. The TANF funds, which is short for temporary assistance to needy families, is part of the family planning programs. And this supports Future's Family Planning Clinic. So these grants, they're block grants actually, and they come through Indiana Family Health Council. They kind of start at the federal level, come through the state, and Indiana Family Health Council then handles them. We talk about this every time, and I will kind of just say this again. This actual grant cycle is October through September. Title 10 money is April through March, but Title 10 often doesn't come on time. Many of these grants, the awards don't come on time. But if Indiana Family Health Council doesn't get their award on time, they can't get it out to us on time. So they hold back these funds, and they are typically the money that we get in that initial April through March time period. So we are getting these TANF funds, which actually kind of started in April. So see, there's that late. We don't get them on time. So this will cover us and be money that we have available through September. And then the Title 10 funding should actually follow in the next few months to cover once these are spent.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Comments, questions, Commissioner Githens?
No.
Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't.
Thank you for continuing your hard work on arranging all of this funding. Let's see if there's any public comment on this item. Either come to the podium in the Nat U Hill room or raise your hand on the Zoom screen. Okay, seeing none, we'll come back for a vote. All those in favor of approving the Indiana Family Health Council grant agreement for TANF signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Move approval of the MOA with Lighthouse Christian School and Richland Bean Blossom Community School Corporation. Fund name, COAG Supplemental Workforce. Fund name, 8111. I'm sorry, fund number rather, 8111. And then a grant amount of $51,638.60.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Please tell us about this.
Certainly, these are the last two, I believe, of the MOAs, memorandum of agreements with our schools who have been participating in the grant award that we have. So this was the COVID money that we got. We had to hire a school liaison. The schools had to initiate a liaison, do an assessment, sign off that they have been following the rules and regulations at the local, the state, and the federal level during this grant cycle period, July through June. And we are happy to sign off and recommend approval of these MOAs. The schools have already been diligently completing the tasks that they have to do in order to get the money. This is a deliverable grant for us, and it is a deliverable-based grant for them.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Comments, questions, Commissioner Githens?
Another way to keep our kids healthy.
Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't.
I was wondering if the contracts are very long and verbose, but I was wondering if you could split that amount for us, the $51,638 between Lighthouse Christian School and Richland Bean Blossom?
Sure can. The formula that we used, we started with a minimum amount of money. It was 5 or 10,000 based kind of on the school size. So we sort of split that. So the extremely small schools had a different minimum than kind of the average schools. And then it was based on population. So Lighthouse Christian Schools is being awarded $12,929.50. And Richland Bean Blossom, $38,709.10.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. All right, let's see if there's any public comment on this item. Either raise your hand on the Zoom screen or come to the podium in the Nat U Hill room. Seeing none, we'll come back for a vote. All those in favor of approving the memorandum of agreement with Lighthouse Christian School and Richland Bean Blossom Community School Corporation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Move approval of Alexander Memorial Historical Limestone Storage Agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and we have Mr. Cockrell here to tell us all about it. Good morning.
Good morning. I think this is for, just so the public knows, we did have restored the Alexander Memorial and we placed new blocks where that had been damaged earlier. And so it is open and ready to be seen. But as part of that, we replaced 8 blocks in that memorial. 4 are located within the county courthouse on the main level in the rotunda. So if anybody wants to kind of see what they look like, they're pretty fascinating to look at when you get up close. However, 4 blocks were too heavy for us to bring into the courthouse. These weigh about 3,600 pounds. And so we needed a place to store them. We had some federal grant money that helped us with this, and we have to store them for 15 years. We reached out to various people, and Randy Cassidy said, hey, I've got some storage space that is available. We can go in and look at it any time. He's going to have it protected against the weather and all those things until we find a more permanent home for them. And so this is just that donation agreement where he's agreed to do that and then not charge us anything.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And thank you, Mr. Cassidy, for your assistance. Comments, questions, Commissioner Githens?
I was also just going to thank Mr. Cassidy. It's really nice when citizens step up to help this way.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yeah, I'd also like to thank Mr. Cassidy, who has done a few very kind things for the county.
Yeah.
He's following in his mother's footsteps.
Yes.
True that. Okay. Excellent. All right. So let's see if there's any public comment on this item. Either raise your hand on the Zoom screen or come to the podium in the Nat U Hill room. All right, seeing none. Again, our heartfelt thanks to Mr. Cassidy. All those in favor of approving the Alexander Memorial Historical Limestone Storage Agreement signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Move approval of Ledgewall Property Purchase Agreement, Fund Name 2019 GO Bond, Fund Number 4812, in an amount of $640,000.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Mr. Cockrell.
Yes, this has been in the works for a while, much like the last item. This is to purchase property located at essentially the corner of I-69 and 46. It's the northwest. We had purchased some property along Hunter Valley Road earlier. This is for the 70-acre tract that is immediately below those. I mentioned in the last item that we were looking at maybe displaying those historic limestone spots. And one of the thoughts for this area is to develop a limestone history center, a limestone display center, because there are a lot of quarrying pits there. There are also a lot of equipment and things like that that tie to the limestone history. And so this is also next to a former Superfund site that had dealt with PCBs. And so part of the thought is to maybe have an educational center for that as well on this site. So while those haven't been formally or designed or anything like that, I think purchasing this property is the next step towards kind of master planning and getting public engagement and public involvement in how we want that to look. This did go to the county council for a first reading on their required ordinance last night. It should go to them for a vote at their June meeting.
Excellent. Thank you so much. That would be the June regular meeting, correct? Their regular meeting, not their work session?
Their regular meeting in June.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Comments, questions, Commissioner Githens?
No, this has been a long time in the works, hasn't it?
Has. Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, it's just exciting to see this moving forward.
It really is. I think there's just such a great opportunity here to for tourism and economic development, and really highlighting the history of Limestone, but also ensuring that future generations understand what happened with PCBs, and kind of creating an educational bit around that, I think will be very important. But it's a really tremendously beautiful property once you're on it. And I know there's going to be a lot of work that has to be done in the future, but I'm really excited to see the possibilities, and it's fascinating stuff. So thank you, Mr. Cockrell, for your hard work on getting this negotiated. Appreciate that. Let's see if there's any comments on this item. Raise your hand on the Zoom screen or come to the podium in the Nat U Hill room. It looks like we do have a commenter on Zoom.
Hello, I'm Margaret Clements. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can. Thank you. Good morning.
Well, I just want to congratulate the commissioners and the county council for your leadership on this issue. I think the opportunities for this site to become a workforce development site across multiple disciplines, whether it be carving, whether it be librarianship of the Heritage Museum, whether it's the environmental aspects that you're hoping to teach and train people and future people who would participate in this this legacy site. I think the opportunities are just multidisciplinary and multifaceted, and it will be a celebration of everything that really undergirds our community, and that being Limestone. So thank you, commissioners, for your attention to this and your vision for this site.
Thank you so much, Ms. Clements. Appreciate that. Let's see if there's anyone else who wishes to speak. Okay, seeing none, we will come back for a vote. All those in favor of approving the Ledgewall property purchase agreement signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. It feels good to move forward on this. All right, next item, please.
Move approval of the ratification of American Rec Services LLC agreement, fund names, county general, and non-reverting parks contractual, fund numbers 1000-30006-0803 and 1179-30006-0000 in an amount not to exceed $5,000.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. We have
There he is.
Mr. Robertson.
Yes, can you hear me?
Wow, there you are. Thank
Hi.
you.
Good morning. Yeah, so this agreement is with American Rec Services LLC. It's an agreement to repair a crack in the water holding tank at our splash pad. As I have mentioned during the work session last week, the agreement is set up not to exceed $5,000, just in case they run into anything unexpected during the repair. We've got a good idea of what needs to be done and the expense there, but it is nice to have a buffer since it's underground, you know, just in case anything unexpected comes up. And then just an update on this project. So we were hoping that they'd be in last Thursday to make the repair. Unfortunately, like everything else right now, it's taking a little bit longer than expected. But the most recent update I have is that they're going to try to get out this afternoon before the rain to make that repair. So fingers crossed they can get in, because every day that we're delayed is also a delay that we have in opening it. So hopefully they can come out today. But if you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Robertson. Comments, questions, Commissioner Githens?
It'll be nice when the splash pad can open. So thanks for getting on this before the planned opening date.
Agreed.
Yeah, Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, thank you very much for working on this. I'm sure as it gets warmer, there'll be a lot of kids who will be anxious to be using it.
There always are.
Yeah, I imagine. Thank you. And let's see if there's any public comment on this item. Raise your hand on the Zoom screen or come to the podium at the Nat Hill room. Seeing none, we will come back for a vote. All those in favor of ratifying the American Rec Services LLC agreement signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Move approval of NDOT Community Crossing Matching Grant Award Agreement, Fund Name, Motor Vehicle Highway, Fund Number 1176, in an amount of $152,034.25.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and Ms. Ridge is here to tell us all about it. Good morning.
Good morning again. So this is one of the roads that we were awarded in their January call for Community Crossing Matching Grant Program. The project is for paving on Rockport Road, Rock East Road to Popcorn, which is 2.95 miles in length. Bids were opened on May 16th, 2022 for the award. The project will be completed in 2022, and we will pay the 50% match.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Comments, questions, Commissioner Githens?
Well, I was out driving in that area earlier this month, and I'm really glad this road is getting some attention.
Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, it's always a relief when we can get any paving done. When you look at the cost of the paving and consider what a small amount of the total of the county roads it is, I think that might help people understand why we can't get every road perfectly paved.
Yeah, absolutely. Ms. Ridge, you said something at the council meeting last night about how much paving is getting done versus previous years.
Correct. So we have over 725 miles of roadway to maintain in the county highway jurisdiction. This year, it's our goal to have 35 miles completely paved, not paver patched. Other roads, we will get some minor paver patching. But as you can see, as I move into the next item on the agenda, it approximately costs about $100,000 per mile to pave a road. That's not counting the ditching work that we go in and do before the paving or replace any of the pipes that are along that road. That's an additional cost. So we're trying to build a better paving program in the county. We try and use any resource that we can. This year, from trying to pull some budgets together, I think we can accomplish $2.4 million worth of paving just in 2022 with outsourcing and then also doing in-house paving. And we want to grow on that program. We will submit more paving projects in July when NDOT does their next call for CCMGs. And we'll put in more paving that'll go into the 2023.
Excellent. Thank you so much. All right. Let's see if there's any public comment on this item. All right. Seeing none, we'll come back for a vote. All those in favor of approving the NDOT Community Crossing Matching Grant Award Agreement signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0, and we have the next item.
Move approval of award Community Crossing Matching Grant Project Paving Project to E&B Paving LLC. Fund name, Motor Vehicle Highway, Fund Number 1176, in an amount of $299,000.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Please tell us about this one, Ms. Ridge.
So actually, this goes in accordance with the previous contract. As you can see, this award is for $299,000 is what was bid for that Rockport Road. So half of that will be paid by that NDOT agreement, and then the other portion will be paid out of Motor Vehicle Highway. Again, it's the 2.95 miles, and bids were open May 16th, 2022.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Comments, questions, Commissioner Githens?
I just want to make sure that our residents understand that you have now created sort of a grid so that every 20 years or so, something gets repaved. It's on a schedule now. It's not just willy-nilly in terms of throwing a dart at the board to see which road gets paved, right?
Exactly. We are required to have an asset management plan for every highway department in the county. That's submitted to Purdue at LTAP, and then it's submitted to NDOT. We are to use that for the purpose of inspecting a road, giving it what we call a PACER rating of 1 through 10. So we play a lot of factors go into that: traffic counts, truck traffic, and then we rate the condition of that road. Then we build it into our paving program to where we get onto a continuous rotation. So it's a ongoing building process to build this program to where we can have a plan of moving forward and not just react. But again, another part of that plays into changing a paving program is the weather conditions in the winter and the spring. That can completely change everything if we get a lot of freeze and thaw, which is a lot of damage to the roadway. So that can adjust our plan a little bit. But again, working with the community crossing matching grant programs helped us a lot to be able to plan for upcoming projects.
Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, it's good to see this receiving some structures so that it's predictable what will get paved and when.
All right, so let's see if there's any public comment on this item. Either raise your hand on the Zoom screen or come to the podium in the Nat U Hill room. Seeing none, we'll come back for a vote. All those in favor of awarding the Community Crossing Matching Grant Project Paving to E&B Paving LLC.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Move approval of award E&B Paving LLC, various paving projects, fund name, motor vehicle highway, fund number 1176, and an amount is approximately $1,450,000.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second, and more good news from Ms. Ridge.
So again, we opened bids on May 16th, 2022. This is kind of our second group of roads that we put out for bid. We originally put one out last fall that was awarded to Milestone. Those roads will also be paved this year. So I didn't want anyone to think that this was the only set of roads that we are paving. This is just in this package that was awarded. I can just briefly tell you the names of the roads in this batch is Getty's Creek Road, Old Myers Road, Little Horse Road, D-Lap Road, Woodall Road, Lentz Road, Nert Road, Four Boys Trail, Fox Chase Subdivision, and North Shore Drive.
Excellent. Comments, questions, Commissioner Githens?
I was talking with Mr. Turner this morning and I understand that Getty's Creek really is in need of an upgrade.
Yeah, actually, I think we're replacing pipes out there in this last couple of weeks.
Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't.
Excellent. Let's see if there's any public comments on this item. Raise your hand on the Zoom screen or come to the podium. And it looks like we have a commenter via Zoom. Can you give us your name, please? Tell us if you're a Monroe County resident.
Yes, Travis Feuerbach. I am a Monroe County resident. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Just for Miss Ridge, I just wanted on the paving on like Lentz Road and Nert Road, is that a patch or is that a full paving of the road? Do you know?
It's full paving. We're out there doing work right now.
Yes.
I received an email this morning stating, complaining of our efforts this morning and this past few days. This is just to prepare for the full paving that E&B will be coming in and doing. And this will help to maintain the pavement longer by doing this prep work.
Got you. I think there was just some miscommunication. I think maybe even some of the workers that maybe had insinuated that it was just patching, but that was what we had thought. I think that's what you had left a message for my wife last year, that it was on the docket for this year to get paved. So we just wanted some clarity because it is definitely a need. It is definitely in disrepair and has been needing to be paved for several years now. So I appreciate you getting that going for us.
All right, thank you so much. See if there's anyone else who wishes to offer comment on this item. Okay, seeing none, we'll come back to the board for a vote. All those in favor of awarding E&B paving various paving projects signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Move approval of NDOT agreement for Vernal Pike Connector Road, fund name Vernal Pike Connector Road, fund number 8165, in an amount of $7,088,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Ridge.
So this connection was developed back in 2017 after I-69 was created and reconstructed. So NDOT has awarded Monroe County $7,088,000 for a vernal pike connector that also includes a bridge. The road will connect to Sunrise Greetings Court, which connects to Vernal Pike, and then down to Profile Parkway and Gates Drive, to where we just built that extension approximately a year ago. Right now, the letting for that project is November of 2022, and then a construction would be the next 18 to 24 months.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Comments, questions, Commissioner Githens?
It'll just be nice to see this done finally, won't it?
Absolutely.
Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, this is an area that definitely needs some help with the traffic. And once this is completed, I think it's going to make it a lot easier to travel through there.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's taken a long time to get to this place, so I appreciate all the hard work. We had right-of-way issues and all kinds of things, and Mr. Cockrell was great about getting that settled as well. So thanks everyone for all your hard work. Let's see if there's any public comment on this item. Raise your hand on the Zoom screen or come to the podium in the Nat U Hill room. Seeing none, we'll come back for a vote. All those in favor of approving the NDOT agreement for Vernal Pike Connector Road signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Move approval of ordinance 2022-13, Rice rezone.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second, and I believe we have Ms. Crecelius joining us via Zoom. Yes. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning. Thank you for having me. All right. Moved a couple slides. Okay. So this Rice rezone is a petition request to rezone approximately 25 acres from Estate Residential 1 to Agricultural Rural Reserve. So the property is located in Bloomington Township, Section 17, at 1725 West Lancaster Drive, and the petitioners are Brett and Abigail Rice. So the current zoning is Estate Residential 1 or RE1. That is a zoning district under the areas intended for annexation or AVA zones under Chapter 833 of the Monroe County Zoning Ordinance. Using this map, we can see that the petition site is deriving main access from West Lancaster Drive, which is a road that's platted within an older subdivision called Lancaster Park First Edition subdivision, which was platted in 1958. The subdivision road dead ends at the property boundary of the petition site. So a quick comparison between zones. So the Estate Residential 1 zoning is kind of defined as an estate type residential use in a more rural environment. The proposed zoning of Agricultural Rural Reserve is under Chapter 801 of the zoning ordinance, so zones that are not in an AFA area. So different zoning district under a different chapter of the same ordinance. The Ag RR zone is primarily agricultural uses with associated single-family residential uses. Also low-density, rural, non-farm related single-family uses. So the petitioner's intent is to rezone to Ag RR and intends to pursue the permit for a detached accessory dwelling unit, or a DADU. This would allow for a second dwelling to be built on the house, meeting certain requirements, including a restricted livable space area and proper connection to all utilities. The petitioner is pursuing this because it would be the only route to having an accessory dwelling unit on the property. The use is not permitted under the RE1 zoning and is only permitted under Chapter 801 zones, which includes Ag RR. The petitioner and I worked together before pursuing this rezone to explore other options. One option that we looked at was subdividing. Although there is enough acreage for a subdivision, the property is very constrained by floodway because there's a creek that runs along the property. So there is limited buildable area. And then another constraint for subdividing is that because West Lancaster Drive is a platted road within a subdivision and dead ends, the petitioner would be required to construct a cul-de-sac to finish the road and dedicate right-of-way. That's a requirement that cannot be waived under the subdivision control ordinance, and that would put this hypothetical cul-de-sac in the location of where their septic is currently, and also would most likely put the existing house within a front setback if that right-of-way was dedicated. So this is a pictometry view from, I believe, 2020 of petition site looking north along I-69. These are a couple of, the next few slides will be photos from a staff site visit. So the top left photo is as you approach the site, you just, after you leave West Lancaster Drive onto their private road, onto their private driveway, we can see the petition sign an existing home. So directly in front of that driveway would have to be a cul-de-sac built. Bottom right is as you curve and start looking south along the buildable area in the existing home. So both of these photos are looking south along the property line. This is where their kind of buildable area would is existing on the property. If this rezone was approved and they pursued the detached accessory dwelling unit permit, they would be looking at kind of this general area for that accessory dwelling unit. As you turn around and leave the property and head back towards West Lancaster Drive, we can see a dry stone wall that borders the property. So this petition was looked at by the Monroe County Historic Preservation Committee in February. They recommended that the petition have a condition to obtain a boundary survey to identify whether the wall was on the petition site. If it is on the petition site, the Historic Preservation Committee would be interested in possible access for research or preservation. So we took that recommendation to the Plan Commission, and I'll speak just a little more on this for a moment. So the comprehensive plan does identify this area as a Monroe County urbanizing area, rural transition district. So an area that does transition between urban and rural, but the MCUA does still identify it as being a formal AFA area. So the rural transition area offers a transition of scale and intensity of development along the urban and rural transect, and that residential uses are generally low in density and primarily single family. So the next 3 slides are the petitioner's letter to the Planning Commission and County Commissioners. They had a slide format, so I did include them here. They discuss their intent for the property, their desire to build a detached accessory dwelling unit, I believe for a family member. They discussed that they were in a former annexation area, that the Area 7 is no longer being proposed to be annexed, so that they will remain county and will become further into county development when we do in the future rezone the county. So we'll come out of that APA zoning. That area is identified under a draft zoning as, kind of a more agricultural residential zone. So the Plan Commission looked at this and formulated this condition based on the historic preservation information. So they voted, the Plan Commission voted to send a favorable recommendation of 5-1 with the following condition, which is that the petitioner obtain an as-built survey to identify the location of the dry stone wall relative to the property line, and if located on the petition site, consent to a historic preservation overlay of the dry stone wall and allow access if recommended by the Historic Preservation Board of Review. The petitioner has been, is willing to meet this condition. It would not, as a little bit of background, the as-built survey would not have to be a boundary, only relative of the wall to the boundary, whether or not it is truly on the petition site. So staff does recommend approval to the county commissioners with that following condition. Does anybody have any questions?
Commissioner Gissens.
So it is a little hard for me to understand you sometimes, and I don't know if it's the volume, but will there be just a single driveway for this? And how will emergency vehicles access this second building, I guess?
There would remain one single driveway. They would not be able to have a second drive because of that restricted access, because they have access off of that dead end road. So emergency vehicles would access it like they do the existing home. And the existing home does have already a circular turnaround drive that is private.
Thank you. Other questions? Commissioner Jones.
Yes, what would happen if only part of the wall is on the property?
I believe that the Historic Preservation Board would not be able to pursue adding that HP overlay unless they also got the consent of the adjacent owners of the wall. So if it straddled it, it would have to be both sides that would consent to the overlay.
Thank you.
Yeah, it may be that even if just a part of the wall is on the property, that with an investigation, they can determine the historic nature of the wall. And then if it is, we can ask the other property owner to agree to a consideration of an HP overlay for the entire wall. It's a good question. All right, I don't have any questions myself, but let's see if anyone is here to speak in favor of this petition. And you can raise your hand on the Zoom screen or come up to the podium in the Nat U Hill room. Please give us your name and let us know if you're a Monroe County resident.
Yeah, I'm Brett Rice. I'm the owner of the property, and also a Monroe County resident. And really just here, if you had other questions, I'm here, but I'm just here to speak in favor of it. Obviously, I have a vested interest. So that was really all I had to say. And if you have any questions.
Thank you so much. It's a beautiful property, by the way. So it's very nice. Yeah. So let's see if there's anyone else to speak in favor of this petition. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this petition? Seeing none, final comments or questions from the board?
I was just pleased to see that this rezone would fit with the new CDO that we have in the works.
All right, so with that, I'll bring it back for a vote. All those in favor of approving ordinance 2022-13 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion carries 3-0. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna have a motion on the next two items together, please.
Move approval of ordinance 2022-14 Hinkle rezone and ordinance 2022-15 Hinkle Historic Preservation Overlay.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second, and we have Ms. Bierman here to tell us all about it. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm going to share my screen here and do a presentation. Okay, hopefully, yep, that goes through. All right. So yes, we are hearing two ordinance petitions at once. Ordinance 2022-14, which is a proposal to rezone 8.6 acres from Ag RR to general business. And then ordinance 2022-15 is to add the historic preservation overlay to a 1,080 square foot barn as kind of requested by the Historic Preservation Board. So if the rezone is approved, this lot will transfer to Lindeman and Associates Psychological Services to develop an office use, and a commercial site plan would be required. It is located at 4833 West Arlington Road, Section 24 of Richland Township. This is the current zoning map. So again, it is zoned Ag Rural Reserve. And I will point out that there are several parcels that surround this petition site that are already zoned general business. So it's not necessarily out of character with the area. The PUD to the south is North Park, just to orient you. That part has not been developed yet. The comprehensive plan shows this as Makua mixed use. And so this is more geared towards commercial use rather than like an agricultural type use. It does kind of fit with the proposed rezone. These are a few site condition maps. So there's an aerial photo on the left, and on the right is a site map that includes contour lines and restricted slopes that are in red. And you can see there is an old farm pond on the site. I'll also point out that just to the west of the petition site, that is, I believe, what's called the Riley Children's Hospital. And so Lindeman and Associates targeted this site because it is a kind of a service that the two can kind of in tandem work together with children who need maybe both services if they're going through an experience. These are some site photos. Arlington Road has been improved. There are sidewalks in the area. There is a nice traffic light just to the west of the site. And with this rezone, there were 3 conditions of approval associated with it that the Plan Commission recommended. The first condition is to protect a grove of trees that are depicted in that green circle on the aerial map. And there's a written commitment that you have before you that I just handed out that kind of covers that specific condition. And the second condition was recommended by the Historic Preservation Board, and that was to preserve the barn that is on the site. They did a site inspection, found that it did seem significant, even though it did not appear in any of the previous surveys, the historic surveys, but oftentimes barns are overlooked. And so it was nice that this was able to be kind of caught and possibly locally designated if we approve that here this morning. And then the third condition, during the historic preservation review of the site, a couple of members were able to do an inspection, and Bloomington Restorations Incorporated also was attending that. They found that this house does show some significance for preservation, and there is a written commitment before you stating that they will make efforts to relocate this home. They believe it is sturdy enough and significant enough. There will be a lot of logistics involved if they do proceed forward. They need a location, move utilities, things like that. So it's not unofficial. I did include this in the bottom picture there, the pond that is on site. And I don't believe that that should have any disturbance if the site is developed. The bioretention would kind of retain water before it would be released downhill from that. So Spring Point Architect is the applicant for this. They are here if you have any questions for them. And also the owner, Susie Hinkle, is here as well in the audience if you have questions regarding this rezone request. These are some of the draft site plans that they have for the site. I'll kind of zoom in on this next one here. So it would be a one-story office building. They could have done this use outright, but would have required a two-story building. However, from previous petitions, we've heard that water pressure is not great and can't really sustain commercial water pressure to get those sprinkler systems in a second floor. So that's why they're just going with a straight rezone here. And frankly, that's going to be easier for our staff to administer when we're working with the site plan development. We did include in the staff packet the use tables for the Ag-Rural Reserve zoning and the general business uses that are going to be permitted here, and office use is included in this table. We did a comparison of design standards, and if this rezone is approved, they will be using the general business design standards going forward with developing the site. We have capacity letters for sewer and water for the site. The MS drainage review, the MS4 coordinator reviewed the site just briefly from a rezone context. They will take a deep dive into that review once it goes to a site plan review phase. And then the highway department also just had a small comment, mostly related to drainage on West Arlington Road. So the Historic Preservation Board looked at this site in two different occasions, January 24th, 2022, where they kind of dispatched a couple of members to go to the site and assess it. And then they came back with a report. We also had Susie Hinkle attend that meeting, and she gave some verbal testimony, which I summarized in the staff report as well. So we have a nice documentation of kind of the history of the site, the significance of these structures, and the importance of, having the written commitment before you to allow some local designation and protection of the barn. So I will present Ordinance 2022-14 first, and this is for the rezone for Ag-RR to GB, general business. It received a favorable recommendation by the Plan Commission on April 19th, 2022, with a vote of 6-0 with the following three conditions. I'll go ahead and read those for the record. So number one, the petitioner enter into a written commitment to preserve trees west of the large barn as part of the site plan approval process. Number two, the 1,080 square foot barn is to be locally designated through the Historic Preservation Board of Review. And number three, the petitioner enter into a written commitment to agree to an inspection of the existing residence for historical significance and potential ability to be relocated prior to any commercial permit issuance. And so we do have the first and third conditions have been met with the written commitment that is before you there, that was recorded yesterday. And then this is just sort of a brief overview of it. There are a couple of exhibits that demonstrate the trees that show that BRI was able to get out there and already do their report. And then the second proposal is for Ordinance 2022-15, and that is the request to rezone to add the HB overlay to just the 1,080 square foot barn This received a favorable recommendation from the Plan Commission on April 19th as well, with a vote of 6-0. And this one satisfies that condition number 2. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Great, thank you so much. Comments, questions, Commissioner Githens?
I noticed on the drawing that's on page 250 of our packet, that it looks like it, not only is there an office building, but there is space or something included for a future office building. Is that correct?
Yeah, they may choose to do a second phase. Again, this is a very rough sketch of a site plan. And so I believe after this petition goes through, they will in earnest start working to develop a comprehensive site plan. And whether that's a 1-phase or 2-phase process, I'm not sure yet. But there will be some workaround with the tree preservation that they would need to do for that maybe secondary future office site.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes, when it comes to maintaining the barn, will the new owners, are they in agreement to maintain it? And
Yeah, in fact, on all of these draft plans that we have been seeing, this is the second iteration I've seen, but they've always had a note on there that to keep the existing barn. So, you know, a written commitment has to be agreeable by both parties. So, you know, it's a good fit that any exterior changes to that barn will need to go before the Historic Board of Preservation for a certificate of appropriateness before they can proceed with any permitted work. So there'll be just a bit of oversight just to kind of keep the character of that structure.
thank you.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, ask another question. Sorry. With the way the driveway is shown on this, what you have up on the screen right now, since it's closer to the driveway for the IU Children's Health Clinic, is that going to create a traffic problem in and out?
That's a great question. And when this goes to site plan review stage, the highway department will dictate where that goes. So it's unclear yet if this proposed driveway location would actually work. I'm not sure if the site distance will be met or if there are other considerations to take in.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So the site plan process happens entirely in the planning department at this point. And so it may not look like this at all, and it may look something like this, but we just don't know that. But it's important to keep that in mind when we look at these planning petitions, because if we're rezoning something to general business, what else could happen there? What else can be allowed there? And that's why, this is such an important review process. And I would just like to thank the petitioners for being willing to agree to the overlay, and hopefully the house can be relocated. That would be really lovely. It's a pretty home. It really is. So that would be great. So I'm going to go ahead and ask for public comment, and we'll do the petitions separately. So first, anyone here to speak in favor of Ordinance 2022-14, which is the rezone? Raise your hand on the Zoom screen or come up to the podium. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to the Hinkle rezone Ordinance 2022-14? Okay, so seeing none, on Ordinance 2022-15, the historic preservation overlay for the Hinkle property. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in favor of this petition? Raise your hand on the Zoom screen or come to the podium. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in opposition to Ordinance 2022-15, the Hinkle historic preservation overlay? Seeing none on either side. Any further comments or questions from the board? Okay, with that, we will have separate votes, and all those in favor of approving Ordinance 2022-14, the Hinkle rezone, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And all those in favor of approving ordinance 2022-15, the Hinkle Historic Preservation Overlay, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you so much. Okay. Next, we have appointments. We need a motion, please.
I move approval of the appointment of Amy Meek and Karen Rinback to the Substance Use Disorder Awareness Commission.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. And appreciate willingness to serve on this important committee. All those in favor of approving these appointments signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. I do have a few announcements. Friday is the first Hoosier Hills Food Bank Fresh Friday of the summer. And that's the 27th of May. You can call them for additional information or visit them online. As Ms. Ridge mentioned tonight, beginning at 5:30 here at the Nat U Hill Room at the courthouse, we are going to be having a community meeting on the Rogers Street sidewalk, proposed sidewalk. And we do invite all interested parties to attend, and you could also attend via Zoom. It is on the county calendar at co.monroe.in.us. We do have the 2 more blood drives scheduled. These are for June. Monday, June 27th, 10 to 3. Thursday, June 30th, 1 to 6. Both are at Ivy Tech. To make an appointment, go to redcross.org. Just a reminder that we do have office hours. You can join us on a Zoom call to speak with one of the commissioners. We have 6 of these scheduled throughout the month. And we do encourage residents to bring suggestions or concerns to us at these office hours. In addition, we are looking for appointments for boards and commissions. So go to co.monroe.in.us to find out more about these boards and commissions and to apply. Anybody have anything else to add?
Just point out that our office hours are not recorded so that people can talk to us in confidence, basically.
Anything else? Okay. Great. We do not have any items for our work session.
I actually
Oh,
have
we
like
do?
a 30-second item,
Okay.
which if you want me to just do it really quickly right now, I can.
Can we do that?
I think with this item, you can.
Sounds good. Let's hear it.
I just wanted to report that we approved an agreement last week with Alliance Security. When we looked at that agreement again, we found that a couple of our normal boilerplate provisions weren't in there. We've added those and the other party has signed it. And so we think it's ready and you guys can go ahead and just sign it. But we just wanted to make sure that that was in the minutes.
Okay.
I would also say that if you are not planning on having a work session, we did not notice tonight's community meeting for a Board of Commissioners attendance. So I think you would want to continue this meeting until that time to make sure that we have the.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so we are going to continue this meeting to 5:30 this evening. And at the end of that meeting, I assume we have to adjourn. We will have to adjourn on the record, but we can do that.
I think that we could figure that out.
Okay.
I mean, the purpose of continuing is so that you attend that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very good. Okay, so our meeting is continued until 5:30 tonight for the discussion on the Rogers Street sidewalk proposal. All right. Thank you, everyone.